What if I told you the single biggest mistake you make, ice fishing, happens in the first 60 seconds you're on a spot? It has nothing to do with your lure, your line, or your electronics. It's that powerful, noisy machine you haul across the ice. You think your auger is just a tool for making holes. Wrong! It's a high-powered fish repellent system, and you're probably using it all wrong. In this video, we're going to expose why your ice auger is turning your honey hole into a ghost town before you even drop a jig. Stick around, because the truth about drilling might just change your entire winter season. Now be honest, do you just fire up the auger and let it rip? Let me know in the comments. For generations, the sound of a gas auger ripping through the ice has been the soundtrack of winter. It's a sound of anticipation. We learned from our dads, who learned from their dads. You find a spot, you drill a hole, you fish. Simple. We focus so much on what happens after the hole is drilled, the flasher, the rod, the bait, but we've completely ignored the chaos we create just to get there. We treat drilling as a chore to be done as quickly as possible, not as a delicate part of the hunt. This get-her-done mentality is a habit, a tradition, and it's a tradition that is costing us a lot of fish. First, let's understand the science of it all. Imagine the frozen lake as a giant drum skin, stretched tight. Now take a power tool and start drilling into it. Every single vibration, every grind of the blades doesn't just stay where you are. It travels through that drum skin, sending shockwaves out in every direction. It's not just noise in the air, it's a physical, tangible force moving through the ice and into the water column below. You're not just making a hole, you're playing a very loud, very aggressive instrument, and every fish in the area has a front row seat to the concert. We often forget this basic physics. We're standing on a solid medium that is incredibly efficient at transmitting energy. The sound doesn't just go down, it goes out, warning fish hundreds of feet away that something unnatural and violent is happening directly above them. It's the first and loudest warning shot you fire before the battle even begins. Now let's talk about the audience for your loud concert, the fish. Fish don't have ears like we do, but they are masters of detecting vibration. They have what's called a lateral line. It's a series of sense organs that runs down the side of their body, and it's exquisitely sensitive to pressure changes and movement in the water. To a fish, the vibration from your auger isn't just a background hum, it's a detailed message. It tells them the direction of the disturbance, the intensity, and most importantly, that it's something big, powerful, and not part of their natural world. It triggers their most basic instinct, fight or flight. And since they can't fight a 200-pound human with a gas-powered drill, they choose flight. They don't just get a little nervous, they actively move away from the source of that terrifying vibration you're creating. I can hear some of you saying it already. Fish in my lake are used to the noise. This is one of the biggest myths in ice fishing. Think about it this way. If you live near a railroad, you get used to the sound of a train. But if a train derails and crashes into your backyard, you are definitely not used to that. Fish are accustomed to the natural sounds of their environment, the ice cracking, the wind, maybe the movement of other fish. The sound of a two-stroke engine or a high-torque electric motor grinding through the ice is not a natural sound. It is a violent, invasive noise that signals danger. They never truly get used to it. They simply learn to associate that specific sound with a threat from above, and their response is always to become wary and often to vacate the area entirely. So where does the most damage happen? Let's break down the drilling process. The very first moment your auger blades touch the ice is a critical point. Many fishermen just slam the auger down and pull the throttle. This creates an initial jarring impact, a loud bang that is like a gunshot to the fish below. This sudden, sharp noise is incredibly effective at spooking fish. It's the initial shock that puts the entire school on high alert. Before you've even drilled an inch, you've already announced your presence in the most aggressive way possible. You have told every fish in the vicinity that something hostile has arrived, and it's happening right on top of them. That first contact is your first, and possibly worst, mistake of the day. Let's talk about the great debate, gas versus electric. A lot of guys think electric augers are stealthy. They are certainly quieter to our ears, but that's not the whole story. Gas augers produce a low-frequency roar, a rumble that travels far. Electric augers, especially the high-speed models, often produce a high-frequency whine. High-frequency sounds can be just as, if not more, irritating and unnatural to fish. The real difference isn't the volume you hear standing on the ice, but the specific frequency and vibration profile that enters the water. While a quiet electric is certainly a step up from a roaring gas engine, it is not a magic invisibility cloak. It still generates significant vibration, and if used improperly, it can clear out a spot just as effectively as its noisy gas-guzzling cousin. Here's something most anglers never consider. The real killer isn't just the motor, it's the blade vibration. Think about running a saw with a dull blade through a piece of wood. It doesn't cut cleanly, it chatters and vibrates violently. The exact same thing happens with your auger. Dull or chipped blades don't shave the ice away smoothly. They hammer and chip at it, creating a massive amount of excess, high-frequency vibration. This chatter travels directly down the steel shaft of the auger and into the water. You could have the quietest electric motor in the world, but if your blades are in bad shape, you are still operating a fish-spooking machine. Keeping your blades razor sharp is one of the most important things you can do for a stealthy approach. Alright, this next one is the single most destructive moment of the entire process. I call it the punch-through problem. It's that final second when the auger blades break through the bottom of the ice. Most guys are still on the throttle, full power, and the auger suddenly plunges into the water. This action does two terrible things simultaneously. First, it creates a massive pressure wave, a boom that radiates outward through the water like a small explosion. Second, it blasts a column of air, slush, and ice shavings directly down into the water column. For a fish sitting just a few feet below, it's a sudden, violent, and terrifying event that sends them scattering. This is the moment you ruin your spot, and almost everyone does it on every single hole. You don't have to take my word for it. Let's look at the visual proof. There are countless videos online shot with underwater cameras placed directly under where a hole is being drilled. The scene is often calm, a few perch or bluegills milling around. Then the drilling starts. The fish become agitated, nervous. They see the light changing and feel the vibration intensifying. But the moment of the punch-through is absolute chaos. The camera shakes, the water fills with a cloud of slush, and every single fish in the frame darts away at top speed. They don't just swim away casually, they panic. Seeing it with your own eyes is a powerful reminder that what we do on the surface has a dramatic and immediate impact on the world just a few feet below our boots. To put the noise of your auger in context, let's consider your own movements. On a calm day with hard, clear ice, even your footsteps can be enough to make shallow water fish nervous. Every time you take a step, you're sending small vibrations down through the ice. Now compare that tiny thump, thump, thump of your boots to the sustained, high, decibel, roar and grind of a power auger. It's the difference between someone tapping on a door and someone taking a sledgehammer to it. If a fish is wary enough to move away from the sound of you walking, imagine its reaction to an internal combustion engine screaming directly above its head. We often fail to appreciate the scale of the disturbance we are creating. Let's look closer at that slush eruption during the punch-through. It's more than just a visual disturbance. That column of ice shavings and slush that gets forced down into the water dramatically changes the environment, even if only for a moment. It alters the water clarity, making it cloudy. It introduces a blast of super-oxygenated water and air bubbles where there were none before. This is a sudden and unnatural change. For fish that are tuned to the subtle cues of their world, it's another jarring signal that something is wrong. It's like a flashbang grenade going off in their living room. Not only is it loud and scary, but it physically alters the space around them, giving them every reason to leave and not come back anytime soon. So, how do we fix this? It starts with a stealthy approach to the first cut. Instead of slamming the auger down and going full throttle, try this. Place the blade gently on the ice. If you have a gas auger, give it just enough throttle to get the blades to engage and start shaving the ice, creating a small pilot divot. If you have an electric, just bump the trigger. The goal is to start the hole smoothly without that initial jarring impact. You want to ease into the cut, letting the blades bite in cleanly before you apply full power. This simple change eliminates that initial gunshot sound and begins the process with far less shock and vibration, keeping the fish below unaware for a few crucial extra seconds. The next step is to master the art of feathering the throttle. There is absolutely no rule that says you have to run your auger at 100% power from start to finish. In fact, that's often counterproductive. A good, sharp auger doesn't need maximum revolutions per minute to cut efficiently. Learn to listen to your machine. Apply just enough power to keep the blades cutting smoothly and clearing chips. By backing off the throttle, you reduce the engine noise, you reduce the vibration, and you give yourself much more control. This is especially critical as you get close to the bottom of the ice. Constant full-bore drilling is the sign of an amateur. A pro knows how to use finesse, even with a power tool. We touched on this before, but it is so important it needs its own block. Why are sharp blades your absolute best friend for stealth? It's simple physics. Sharp blades require less energy, less force, and less speed to cut ice. Because they require less energy, you can run your auger at a lower, quieter speed. Because they slice cleanly instead of chipping and grinding, they create significantly less vibration. The entire process becomes faster, smoother, and quieter. Think of it as the difference between cutting a tomato with a sharpened chef's knife versus a dull butter knife. One is effortless and clean, the other is a destructive, messy process. Spending the $20 or $30 to get your blades professionally sharpened is the best investment you can make for your ice fishing success. Here is a more advanced strategy for those who are really serious about a quiet approach, the pre-drilling strategy. This works best when you get to a spot early in the morning, or if you plan to fish an area for a long time. Instead of drilling a hole and fishing it immediately, drill all the holes you think you'll need for the next few hours all at once. Drill them, clean them out, and then walk away. Let the area rest and go have a coffee. Give it at least 30 minutes, an hour is even better. This allows the fish that was spooked by the drilling to calm down and return to the area. When you come back to fish, you can move from hole to hole with minimal disturbance, presenting your lure to fish that are relaxed and unaware of your presence. Here's a clever trick you can try, especially on a community spot where there's already some noise. Drill your sacrificial hole. Before you go to your intended fishing spot, walk 50 or 60 feet away from it and drill a single, noisy hole. Let it run, make a bit of a scene. The idea is that any nearby skittish fish might be drawn to investigate that disturbance, or at least be focused in that direction. Then you can quietly move back to your actual spot and drill your real holes with as much stealth as possible. You're essentially creating a diversion. It may sound a bit crazy, but in the chess game of predator versus prey, sometimes a little misdirection can give you the edge you need. We also have to consider the light factor. Under a blanket of snow-covered ice, the world for a fish is dim and dark. It's a very consistent, low-light environment. When your auger punches through, you are essentially opening a massive, brilliant skylight directly above them. This sudden, intense blast of light is extremely startling, especially in shallower water. It's another unnatural event that screams danger. This is one reason why cleaning the slush out of your hole and getting your line in quickly is important, but the initial damage is already done. By controlling that final punch through, you can make the introduction of that new light source a little less abrupt and a little less terrifying for the fish you are trying to catch. The noise doesn't stop once the hole is drilled. What's the next thing everyone does? They kick the slush away from the hole with their boots or aggressively use a metal scoop, banging it against the ice. Remember that drum skin? Every kick and every bang sends more vibrations down to the fish. You've just gone through all the trouble of trying to drill a quiet hole, only to ruin it with careless cleanup. Use a plastic slush scoop. Gently scoop the slush out and place it a few feet away from the hole. Don't kick it. Don't bang your gear around. From the moment you step on the ice until the moment you leave, every sound you make is part of the equation. Be mindful and be quiet. It's important to understand that this entire problem has an echo effect in the shallows. Drilling in 5 to 10 feet of water is 10 times more destructive than drilling in 30 or 40 feet. In deep water, the sound and vibration have more room to dissipate, and the fish are farther from the source of the chaos. But in the skinny water, you are right on top of them. There's nowhere for them to hide. The sound is louder, the vibration is more intense, and the light penetration is more shocking. If you're targeting panfish, perch, or walleye in the shallows, a stealthy drilling technique isn't just a good idea. It is absolutely essential. One noisy hole can ruin a shallow spot for hours. So what is the right auger for stealth? Well, the ultimate quiet tool is still a good old-fashioned hand auger. It's silent, vibration-free, but it's a lot of work. The next best thing is a modern drill-powered auger setup. A high-quality cordless drill paired with a lightweight auger is much quieter and creates less vibration than a dedicated power auger. If you must use a gas or heavy electric model, choose one that runs smoothly and pair it with razor-sharp blades. The brand matters less than the condition of the blades and the technique of the operator. The quietest auger in the world is useless in the hands of a clumsy fisherman. The best tool is the one you can operate with the most control and finesse. Ultimately, this all comes down to a mindset shift. You need to stop thinking of yourself as a construction worker whose job is just to make a hole in the ice. You need to start thinking like a hunter. A deer hunter doesn't crash through the woods, snapping twigs and yelling, and then expect a deer to walk right up to them. They move slowly, they are quiet, and they respect their environment. The same principle applies on the ice. Every single action you take, from closing your truck door, to walking across the ice, to, most importantly, drilling your hole, is part of the hunt. Adopt a hunter's mindset of stealth and awareness, and you will see a dramatic improvement in your catch rate. So let's wrap this up. For years, we've thought the noise was just part of the game, a necessary evil. But the real takeaway here isn't that drilling is bad, it's that how we drill makes all the difference. The most crucial moment, the one that can make or break your entire day, is that final punch through, that sudden shock wave, that blast of light and slush. That's the dinner bell ringing for get out of here. By simply backing off the power right before you break through and gently finishing the hole, you transform from a rampaging beast into a stealthy hunter. This one tiny change in habit can fundamentally alter your success on the ice. It's the difference between fishing in an empty room and a room full of curious, hungry fish. Thank you for watching and for being willing to challenge the old ways. If this video made you rethink your approach, hit that like button and subscribe for more tips that actually work. Now for the real talk. What's the one old-timer fishing tip you've always followed that you're starting to question now? Drop it in the comments below. Let's get a good discussion going. See you on the ice.